Welcome everyone, Mistaken Silence here, bringing you another edition of Star Trek Fleet Command in-game tutorials. This week, we are going to discuss Armada basics. Now, there is a ton that we could discuss about Armadas, but instead of bringing you a huge, overwhelming 7-course meal, I thought that we would take a look at the appetizer menu instead. So we're going to go over some of the do's and the don'ts of when you start an Armada, and probably even more importantly, when joining someone else's Armada. We're also going to go over some officers that actually work for everyone involved. And lastly, we're going to take a look at what some people like to call, and I kind of like to call it that as well, but the Gorkon, and that's going to be Gorkhan, the Gorkon Bromance. What exactly that combination can do for you and others in your Armada. But before I start, let me remind you to go ahead and hit the like button because, you're going to like this episode. Let's just be honest. You're going to like it. If not, at least pretend. Hit the like button. As well as subscribe because, that's what everyone else who does these type of videos tells you. So I'm going to tell you that too. Hit the like button and subscribe. Also, special shout out to my friend Cook from Server 34. I, again, appreciate your kind words. You continue to show great support for what I'm doing. Also, Ultimate DJs from Talking Trek. I'm super grateful for his kind words as well, especially since I've enjoyed his show, and it is my #1 go-to for when I want to be up to date as to what's going on with Star Trek Fleet Command. So let's go ahead and start with the do's. The first do send a tracker ship. And by that I mean, if the Armada you are going to is hosted in a faction that hates you, please send an extra ship to take care of that fighter that wants to blow you away as soon as you fly into their system. Do not, for all things holy, do not depend on your teammates to take care of your tracker. And obviously there's going to be exceptions to this rule, but for the most part, if you are running an Armada, we'll say in Gorath, and you know that they hate you there, you're going to need to bring an extra ship. Because the people joining your Armada don't have an extra ship with them to take care of your 7.5 million strength war army that wants to blow you out of the sky. So, remember this. There's really no issue at all with going to these Armadas, but remember to bring your own tracker. Now, I know some of you are saying, but Mistaken Silence, there is a way where you can only send one ship and you can put it in the circle and then try to warp out and then cancel and then that'll stop the tracker from chasing you. I realize that's a possibility, but I am locked with all the factions, so I can't really try it and I can't video trying it, and so I can't put it up here to show people. So what I'm going to do is refer you back to my last video where I told people to ask questions, communicate. I'm sure there is someone in your alliance or in a partner alliance or at least someone in your server that can walk you through that process. And if I'm able to find someone shortly, in the next couple of days, I will try to post that as well. That way you can see that trick. So now for our next do. This one's really important, okay? Do understand and recognize your weight class. And by that, if you look at boxers or wrestlers, you have your heavyweight, your middleweight, your lightweight. Understand where you are in this game. Just because you can reach a level 39, warp 39 system, doesn't mean that you're ready to run those Armadas. So, don't log in, go to Goombridge, and start a 39 uncommon if you're only a level 30 or a level 31. Because you're not going to be able to beat it. And what's going to happen? That's actually going to lead me into one of my don'ts. Don't chase the win. Because you're going to get people excited. We're all going to come to your Armada and you're going to get it, maybe a quarter of the way down. Well, then you're running it again and you're running it again and you're running it again. And yeah, at the end, you're going to get some really great Armada credits from that. But I guarantee that if you were to go to an armada that actually was doable by you and the crew that you had, and you ran 4 or 5 of those and won each time, you're going to come out with more armada credits than if you kept running and running and running and wasting those directives to win that one. Now, I understand that you do want to challenge yourself and you want to push yourself. I am totally for that. I'm a huge fan of soloing armadas just to see what my ship can do. Because if I know I can solo it, then I know what I can do to bring a team with me. But I don't just keep doing it and doing it and doing it. I'll give you an example. I tried to run a 38 rare by myself. I did it, and I knocked down maybe a quarter of the power. I said to myself, you know what, self, you don't need to keep doing that because you're going to waste a lot of rare directives. So I didn't. It's okay. It's okay to let it sit there. Don't have your feelings hurt. It was a good try. At least you know where your threshold is. So do recognize your weight class and don't chase the win. So I'm going to go ahead and continue off of that and pick on the higher levels for just a bit, because I know you low levels are maybe feeling like I'm picking on you, but it's okay. I will spread the wealth. Higher levels, please stop sending your ships to armadas where you're not needed. Don't just send and give the, hey, star me out if I'm not needed, because you know what? Half the times we're not just sitting around waiting for people to get there and then we're going to star them. That's just not realistic. That's not what we're doing. A lot of times we're hitting it and then we're getting, caught by work. We're getting caught by family, whatever it is. And we're not there to watch the entire 15 minutes of an armada. So let's take a look at this example from today to show why you need to be more mindful of that. This is a level 26 rare that a member of my alliance on server 34, Phoenix Alliance, he ran this earlier, and we use this as an experiment. So thank you, Eno, for helping me out. The overall strength of this armada is 2.8 million. Now we have a 243,000 Kara. We have a 735,000 Saladin, a 1.1 million Burrell, and a 1.1 million Bortus. And then you have my 7.1 million Kelvin. Now, did I go a little extreme with this? Yes, I did, but it was really just to prove my point. So you have to think about the fact that when you look at the rewards for this particular armada are 786 rare credits. Now, that's not bad when you're sitting at level 30, level 32, whatever, and you're taking a look at it, and you're like, man, this is great. I could use this. But the way that is divided is it doesn't just evenly divide that between the 5 players in the armada. It takes the person who did the most damage, gives them the larger amount, and then it trickles down from there. So if we take a look at what I got from the 786 credits, I received 561 of them. 561 of the 786 credits came to me. That means the other 4 players had to split the rest. If we take a look at Storm and Norman's rewards, who arguably should have been in this armada, because it's a level 26 armada and he's running a Kara. Now, that makes sense. That's the way it's meant to be. He received 17 credits. I received 561. Now let me just tell you, if I want to do a chest pull, a double chest pull for me is 10,000. 10,000. This doesn't really do anything for me. It was pointless for me to be there. They didn't need me to win, and all I did was be a credit hog. So I'm telling you now, don't be an armada credit hog. And let's move on from the do's and don'ts, and let's talk about some of the officers that work for every single person in the armada, even if only one person brings that officer. We'll go with the first one. The first one is Nero. Nero's officer ability, which is what we're really looking for because that's what's going to be working for everyone there. Every time the ship strikes the opponent with a weapon attack, Nero has a 50% chance of burning it for 2 rounds. Why is this important? Let's assume that 1 or 2 of your players is running an auger in the particular armada you're doing. If you take a look, the ship's ability of an auger is as long as the opponent's ship is burning, which is what Nero is providing, if the opponent is hit with the Obliterator Weapon, the auger increases all weapon damage by, in this case, 108%, and that's going to be based on tier. But that's cumulative. That's going to continue to grow. And the Obliterator Weapon is the largest weapon on an auger. That's going to be your kinetic weapon. So whenever Nero activates that burning, and burning is active on the Armada, and if my Obliterator hits that while it's burning, 108% of weapon damage cumulative. It's going to keep growing. Okay, that's huge when you're looking at armadas that may be going 25, 26 rounds. I'm not 100% sure on the math. I'm not a mathematician, not a math guru. But Nero is also causing burning damage behind the scenes throughout the entire armada whenever burning is activated. So that's another benefit that he's going to be bringing to the table. Next, let's take a look at Gorkon. Gorkon is another officer that is going to work for everyone who is there in your armada. If you look at his officer ability, when the ship hits the opponent with a critical hit, Gorkon has a 90% chance of causing a hull breach for 3 rounds on the opponent's ship. And why is this important? Well, let's assume in this case that maybe you have 1 or 2 of your teammates that are running a D4. The D4's built-in ship ability, Relentless Hunting, as long as the opponent has a hull breach, which is what Gorkon is causing, the D4 increases its weapon damage by 1% every round cumulative. So we'll say it's 25 round Armada. That's going to continue to build as long as there's hull breach. So if you're running a Gorkon and my buddy over here has a D4, it's benefiting him. And let's not forget, there's also officers that are activated when there's hull breach. So you're benefiting that as well. And lastly, with Gorkon, there is a hidden, unwritten ability to increase weapon damage. And I don't know the exact amount, but I can tell you from my personal testing with Gorkon Maxed, I'm running at about 66 to 67% extra weapon damage. Finally, let's take a look at what we've all been waiting to hear about, and that is the bromance known as Gorkon. Gorkon, Gorkhan, is where you're using Gorkon and Khan together on your bridge, or you have Khan and someone else in your armada has Gorkon. Or Gorkon. Is it Gorkon? Maybe it's Gorkon. Maybe it's Gorkon. So this is the part where I did a Zach Morris timeout and went and checked. According to the movies, it's Gorkon, but there's so many other videos where they say Gorkon that I'm just gonna go with that, and I'm not gonna go back and re-record all of the stuff I did. So I hope you can bear with me. Anyway, if you remember from just a few moments ago, Gorkon, I'm gonna struggle with that for the rest of the video. I apologize. Gorkon has a chance to cause a hull breach for 3 rounds when hitting with a critical hit. And if we look at Khan's officer ability, my particular Khan is at rank 4. So its Savage Tenacity offers a 4% to critical hit chances every time the ship gets hit. That's not every round, that's every single sinking time the ship gets hit. And in my case, you're going to be adding 4% to what the actual ship's critical hit percentage chance already is, which for the Enterprise is 12%. So the very first time he's hit, that makes that a critical hit chance of 18% the next time I fire a weapon. Well, what I did is, if you take a look here, this is a solo that I ran. It was a 37 uncommon, and by round 5, Khan was causing me to critical hit every single time. And what did that do? That caused hull breach to activate almost every single round going forward. And that is because Khan was causing my ship to hit the Armada with a critical hit every single time past round 5. And what did we learn earlier in the video? That when I had a hull breach using Con, I personally, I can't guarantee this with everyone, but personally, I was doing about 67% more damage per hit because of hull breach. That's craziness. So that is why the bromance of Gorkon is so important. Remember, you don't have to have the two together. Let's say you don't have Con. It's okay. You can run Gorkon, and then your buddy over here in the 4.5 million auger can have Con on his ship. And then if you have the Obliterator and all of that going all at the same time, that's some serious critical damage coming for the entire rest of your Armada. So something to think about. Again, not something you have to do. None of those are things you have to do, but it's definitely things that I found useful and that I would recommend to you. Well, gang, that is the end of another episode. And, it was much longer than the previous ones, and I apologize. But I really did just bring you an appetizer menu. I promise. There are so many things that we could go into when it involves Armadas. Really, you're just going to have to go out there and try and test, and don't be frustrated. Again, don't chase the win, but it is okay to push your limits. Thank you so much for being part of my episode this week and continuing to give me support and encouragement. Also, another reminder to make sure you like this video, subscribe, tell all of your friends, and continue to do your best to be the best player you can be and to be the best teammate you can be. Lastly, as I say every week, remember to please shield, because as they say in the game, it's either shield or share.